Okay, time now to take a look at what's taking shape in the world of science and tech with CTV's science and tech expert, Dan Riskin. But Dan, before we talk about all the good stuff, we got to get to what's really important here.
The pickleball. The pickleball. Saturday, yeah. It was a whole lot of fun. I know we're still feeling the sort of aches and pains from it.
Yeah, my legs are a little bit tight, I'll be honest.
Reflected on what happened?
You know what happened is you guys showed up and we had a great time, and my wife Shelby was there, and the four of us, we did our best to dominate in pickleball. We did not dominate.
No. We did win our first two matches.
We did. We made it through the round robin. We got into the playoffs, and then it just did not go as we'd hoped.
Yeah.
But we raised lots of money, and the whole tournament as a whole raised a lot of money. We raised over $200,000 for St. Michael's Hospital. So I feel good about that. But I'd feel better if we'd won the whole thing.
I'd feel better if we had played more. We did get unlucky by having to play a team which had a former professional tennis player on the WTA circuit and an Olympian, as well as her coach. And then, they got grouped with three kind of random players that didn't have a team, but they were all pretty decent. So we played them.
Luck of the draw,
photo of us.
There we are.
That was before we got crushed, or maybe after. I can't remember.
Before.
So we lost to them, and then in the playoffs, we get paired with them in the first game. So
back to back.
That was tough.
Back to back, playing against a professional tennis player. Their argument was that they had never played pickleball, so they belonged in the beginner rounds. My argument is different. I feel like if you're a world-ranked tennis player, it's not fair for you to crush Dan Riskin's hopes and dreams. There we go. There's Jen and me. See, Jen was doing all the heavy lifting.
No, that was my only good rally.
Jen, you had a great rally there, and I had one time I had to hit the ball. There's Shelby going for it with Nick here. Let's get some Nick action here. There you go, Nick. That was great.
It was just they were so intimidated they wanted to hit it to me. They should hit it to the net instead.
No, Nick, but you showed up. You're quite good at this.
I love it. I love pickleball. And I mean, I have that tennis background, not professional, but I taught it for years. And I love racket sports. You guys saw me. I was smiling bigger than I almost ever do.
Yeah,
you were really giddy.
Except when I missed the ball. Then you would give me a look like, Dan,
there may have been one or two. Anyway, we got to move on and talk about, of course, what you're really here for, Dan. And that, of course, is crosswalk chaos theory. That's the study. It's an interesting one.
You know that thing where you're on one side of the street and they're on the other side of the street, and then the light turns green and everybody walks and the two crowds just go right through each other? No problem.
It's crazy.
But then other times you end up doing that thing where you bump into somebody and you got to go around them. Why does it work sometimes? Other times it doesn't. Big study where they had people crossing a gymnasium and they were assigned where they tried to get to. And it turns out it has to do with the angles that people are crossing at. If everybody is going across each other at the same angle, so there's 0 degrees, people very smoothly form these lanes and it's very easy to get through. But when people are at an angle to each other of 13 degrees or more, I don't know why that number, but 13 degrees is the magic number, that's when you start bumping into people. So when you think about being in like Union Station, if you're in a hallway, everything goes smoothly, but then when you get to that big open area, that's where everybody starts bumping into each other because you're all going in different directions. So for planners, this is great data because it means if you set it up so that people are sort of aligned in terms of where those crowds are trying to get to, big crowds can move right past each other with no friction. But if there's funny angles of 13 degrees or more, it gets ugly.
Too bad it doesn't work for traffic on the 401.
No, they're all parallel.
Totally. Okay, and this is also interesting, Dan. Your computer's microphone might be sabotaging you?
This is huge. So Zoom calls, right? When you have a Zoom call, a lot of people just use the built-in microphone on their computer. They did a bunch of things where they played recordings from a good microphone or good recordings that were modified to sound like they came from a bad microphone on a computer. And when you hear that voice, it sounds 5% less intelligent and 10% less hireable. So if you're using Zoom, especially in a job interview or trying to make a good impression on somebody, just your bad microphone is subconsciously causing that person to think you're less intelligent and less competent than you would be with a good microphone. We don't even think about it. I mean, with Zoom, you can see how you look on the camera, but you can't hear how you hear.
That's so true.
So put some thought into it and put $100 into a decent microphone, and it could make the difference of whether you get the job or not.
Yeah, because you know what you sound like going out, but what the receiving, part of the transmission gets is completely different. That's huge.
It's really interesting because we evolved to pay attention to the nature of people's voices. You get a lot of information about their biology, like the size of a person, the health of a person, all from the tone of their voice, and we pick up all these cues subconsciously. And we didn't evolve for Zoom. So with Zoom, it adds all these elements, and our basic mammalian brains are like, not sound good, not be smart. Like we
We just do that,
subconsciously have all these issues.
Interesting subconscious bias there.
very
Okay,
cool.
this is another one. Your brain responds to exercise just like your muscle. I mean, we're feeling our muscles after the pickleball the other day, but you can work out your brain, it seems.
Yeah, it's kind of gratifying, but kids that are experimentally given long periods of time to work on a single thing without interruption do better on big exams and last longer in those big exams before they burn out compared to kids that don't have that exercise. And in fact, for this study, this was a big study with 1,500 kids in India where they experimentally manipulated how much time the kids got to just work on things. Wow. Some kids were given math problems to work on nonstop for long periods of time. And some kids were given non-academic mazes, just something they were working on without being interrupted. And just being able to focus on the same thing for a long period of time builds your brain like a muscle. It makes your brain stronger for doing things that require focus and attention.
Regardless of the actual content.
All this stuff where we're on our phone and we get a little dopamine hit every 2 seconds, it's not helping. But like work on a crossword puzzle, that's going to help.
Fascinating.
Yeah, even a coloring book.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
Something as simple as that. That's fascinating. Oh my gosh, so much news you can use today.
Yeah.
Dan, oh my gosh, it was so fun this weekend. Thanks for having us.
Great to meet Shelby as well. She was amazing. It was really nice to meet her. So,
Thanks,
definitely.
Dan.
All right, thanks, Dan.